Okay, so in this video, we're going to be talking about the voltage divider. What the voltage divider is, what it does, um, yeah, and then how you can use it, how you're going to encounter it in the exam. Yeah, just stuff about the voltage divider. So first, I'm just gonna start off with what it is. The voltage divider is this circuit here. Is this okay? Generally, you will see it in circuit diagram form like this. And what it does is it takes in a voltage and then it outputs a differing voltage. So you could set up a voltage divider to take in, like, let's say your main circuit is 5 volts, right? You could set up a voltage divider to output 2 volts. So if you have a component that requires a specific amount of voltage to operate in a certain manner, then this would be helpful. um, and for things like voltage comparators as well, this is the voltage divider is essential. One thing to note is that it is a voltage divider, not like a voltage producer. So you can't have like your main circuit is 5 volts, then you can't have it produce 300 volts. How the voltage divider works is its output, right, has to be smaller than your main voltage, which in this case is E lah, yeah. So how do we get the values, like how do we get the output of the voltage divider? So as you can see right here, the voltage divider is just two components. It's just two resistors. And how we get the output voltage is we use this equation here. This equation here. So this equation actually gets the output voltage right at R2. So let's just call it V2. Yeah, it gets the output here. Um, and I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you have like a question, right, or you're trying to set something up, then you can just sub in the values. Like if R1 is 1 kilo ohm, then you just put in 1 kilo ohm. Let's say you want to find R2, right? And you know the output voltage is like 3 volts, and you know your main is 6 volts, then you know, then you can guess, or then you can do math to find R2 lah, as the resistance. So this finds the output at R2, um, and basically, right, the important bit is here. Okay, so we can see in the denominator of this fraction, it is the resistance of R1 and R2. And then at the numerator, the it is actually R2. And it just so happens that we're trying to find the voltage output at R2. Okay, and the numerator here, okay, which leads to my point. The numerator here is what determines which voltage across the which resistor you're trying to find. So in this case, since the numerator is R2, you're actually going to find the voltage across the R2 resistor. So if this were to say R1 like this, then you will be finding the voltage output across the R1 resistor. Okay, so that is the what a voltage divider does, how it normally looks like in the equation, and how to apply it ish. So now I'm going to move on to some practice questions. All right. So I've prepared a practice question below here. So let's do it. Okay. So in this question, we have a main voltage of 16 volts. Um, and then we can assume, right? Oh yeah, and R1 is 21 ohms, R2 is 3 ohms, and then we have a voltmeter across the R1 resistor. So we can safely assume that the question wants us to find the voltage across R1 lah. And we can do that. So what we need to do is we just need to say the voltage here, which would be let's just say V. Okay, it's a bit thick. Yeah, V is equals to um in this case it will be R1 over R1 plus R2 times E, and then we sub in the values. So this would be 21 ohms 21 ohms, 21 ohms plus 3 ohms, and then times E, which is 16 volts. And then that's pretty much it. So we can just put this into a calculator, and then we can find the voltage across the voltage across R1, and we find that it is 14 volts. So that is the voltage across the R1 resistor. Um, so, oh, I forgot to mention, you could have paused the video. Yeah, usually I say something like that before I show a practice question. So, yeah, this is the output across the R1 resistor. So now you may pause the video to try and find the voltage across the R2 resistor. I didn't I'm just making it up on the fly right now, this question. You could say that's stupid because it's obviously 2 volts, because you can just minus, but just assume you don't know this. Let's just try now. Okay, what's across this? What's across this? Okay, so let's try and find it. Let's just reduce this to nothingness. Oh, I can't make it small. Oh, I can. There we go. So, is it still there? Yeah, just very tiny. Let's put that there. So, you can pause now to find the voltage across R2. So, we just need to, okay, the voltage across R2, V2, will be R2 as the numerator, and then the rest is the same. So now, we just sub in 3 ohms, 21 ohms, 3 ohms, 16 volts. Okay, so now let's put this in the calculator and we should get 2. Yep, and we do. 2 volts. So that is the first question. So let's move on to the next, which is this one. Alright, so in this question, they give us the values of E, R1, and R2, and then they are asking us to find the voltage across the R2 resistor. So you may pause the video now to go ahead and try it for yourself. Alright, so the voltage across the R2 resistor would be R2 at the numerator, then R1 plus R2 times E. So now we just sub in the values. Notice how, right, before I'm actually solving it, I don't just write the numbers, I write out the equation form first. So I I'm not sure how they're going to mark it in the O levels, right? But I would I would say that for any question that involves an equation, you should just do this first, because uh they may just mark you wrong if you don't write this equation form. I don't know, it's something someone said to me in the past, that just write out the equation. Don't just write the numbers. For example, right, now I'm going to sub in the values, so it'll be 3 ohms, and then R1, which is 1 ohm, and then R2, which is 3 ohms, and then times E, which is 6 volts. Don't just write this. Write this first. Okay. Anyway, so now we just need to put this into the calculator. And then that would be 4.5 volts. So the voltage across the R2 resistor is 4.5. Yeah, that's it. So that's my last practice question. But I feel like I have not exposed enough of the variability of a voltage divider question. So I'm just going to make one up now. Right. So here we go. Okay. So this is this is a possible question in the exam. They give you a voltage divider circuit, and then they say, oh, yeah, your E is 5 volts, your R1 is 1 kilo ohms, right? But we want it so that the output, right, is 3 volts. Okay, so can you find a resistor value for R2 such that the output is going to be 3 volts? That is a very possible question. So how, oh yeah, you can pause the question now. I mean, you can pause the video now to go ahead and try for yourself. Okay, so this is how I would do it. Okay, we're just gonna copy over the equation that we already know, which is V2 would be equals to R2 over R1 plus R2, and then times E. And then we can fill in the values we already know. So we know that V2 is 3 volts. We don't know R2, so we're just going to leave it like this. We know R1, it's 1 kilo ohm. And we know E, because E is 5 volts. Okay, and then with this, right, we can just do some algebra to to find R2. So first, yeah, if your algebra skills are not too strong, then this would be a bit of a challenge. But anyway, so first, right, I would bring this up here. Then 1 kilo ohm plus R2 stays. And then there is a rule, actually, that if you see an equation like this, where one thing is equals to a fraction, the denominator of that fraction can actually swap places with the other number. So in this case, this is equals to this. Yep, this is the same. Why did I do that? I don't know. It doesn't help us at all. I just felt like doing it. But you should know that that is a rule because it may be helpful in your other electronic calculations. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. That's not really helpful. It doesn't do anything. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by 1 kilo ohm and R2 on both sides. So to remove this, and then we'll get 3 and then 3R2. At this point, I'm going to start removing the units already because they don't matter. Okay, and then now we're going to get 2R2 because minus 3R2 on both sides is equals to 3. So now we can finally find that R2 is actually 3 over 2, which is 1.5. And then don't forget that we were actually in kilo ohms, so this would be 1.5 kilo ohms. So in order for in this circuit, right, where the E is 5 volts, R1 is 1 kilo ohms, and we want the output or the voltage across R2 to be 3 volts, R2 needs to be 1.5 kilo ohms. So yeah, that is as far as I'm going to explain and describe voltage dividers to you guys. So thanks for watching. um I don't know if I have any closing thoughts. uh um no, I think that's it. Yeah, so it's very simple. It's just a voltage divider. Okay, so yeah, uh thanks for watching.